You have to think you're very, very lucky. That is a very stacked triple bill. Now let me take as little time as possible to explain why we are doing what we are about to do. A long time ago, in the year of 1988, Dinosaur Jr. released an album called Bug. Many years later, the band is circling around and they're going to play Bug in its entirety in front of you a few minutes from now. If it was a different band, you may be cynical and think it's just some band trying to cash in on past achievements now that culture has finally caught up with them, and what they're doing now does not raise any interest, so they must fall back on past laurels and exploit it to turn a trade. Thankfully, Dinosaur Jr., at least in my opinion, and perhaps many of your opinions, has never done an album that has sucked. There are no Dinosaur Jr. albums that suck. And the last one, Farm, is fantastic. The one before that, Beyond, is fantastic. Very hard for a band that's been around for so long to make so many good records and not have any of them that you want to throw out the window after hearing them. So, a band like that coming around and doing an old album, it's just icing on the cake. It makes a good thing better. And so what we're going to do in a few minutes, we're going to bring the band on stage for a brief inquisition. Several months ago, they called me and they said, here's what we want to do. We want to go on the road and play Bug. I started thinking, how many tickets can I book to go see as many shows as possible? Because like many of you, I'm a triple XL Dinosaur Jr. fan. They said, but here's this. We want you to go on stage with us and interview us for a few minutes before we go on. I said yes so quickly with such force that it hurt my face. And so we did it on the East Coast last summer, and it was very, very good. Big fun we had. And a few months later, they contacted me again. They said, let's do it again on the West Coast. Are you in? I said, oh, yes. And so, here we are again. Together, under the harsh lights of scrutiny, let's bring to the stage right now, Dinosaur Jr. Gentlemen, good evening.
Fuck yeah!
I have questions for each of you and questions for all of you. First one, anyone who feels like answering, go ahead. At what point did Dinosaur Jr. take enough of your time to where you had to quit school or day job or whatever else you were doing, and how did that affect how you approached making music? At some point, it had to go from a hobby to, this is consuming me night and day.
Yeah, it was after Bug, coincidentally. I dropped out of school 4 years down the drain. Just started doing Dinosaur all the time.
Did you guys, during the era of Dinosaur, the first album, and You're Living All Over Me, the second album, did you guys have day jobs?
Yes, I worked in a nursing home.
And Jay, you were a student. Right, okay. Once you became a part of a full-time international recording and touring act, you immediately distinguish yourself from many of your friends, your family. What was that transition from the normal world of nursing, pizza delivery, and being a student to being a musician? Because all of a sudden, you're very different than many of the friends you grew up with, and they see you differently. So do you remember that transition?
I didn't have any other friends.
Well, you do now.
None of my friends really believed I was going on tour. They'd always say, oh, yeah, right, that's a good one.
What year did they start taking it seriously?
By the time we did Living All Over Me. Pretty much when Jay moved to New York to go to Hunter College, and we started gigging down there and spending more time in New York. That's probably when things started to grow.
Did any of you have parental intervention that said, please, this is a monumentally awful move to make with your future?
My mother to this day still says, like, I don't know, I think you should have finished college and gotten a good day job.
His mom told him that he should join Sonic Youth recently. She said, I read an article about Sonic Youth in the paper. Why don't you know them, Patrick? Why don't you join that band?
Jay, did your parents have given you any flack about, well, basically quitting college and becoming a full-time musician?
I was the youngest of like 4 kids, so I think they didn't care by the time I rolled around. My brother was already a lawyer, so I thought it was okay.
So they had filled their success quotient, they could stop paying tuition and go on vacation. All of you played with a great deal of enthusiasm in and out of Dinosaur Jr. The 3 of you, one way or another, have been playing, writing, and making music for almost, or about, 30 years. Here's the question. How do you maintain such enthusiasm for what is easily one of the hardest art forms to persevere in?
Hardest art form? This is like the fucking easiest out of all of them, isn't it? Playing music? I don't know. I'm just saying.
There's a lot of bands that are really good. They don't get over the wall. The record comes out, no one cares. It's a good record. No one gave a damn. You know, many bands that we grew up watching, they were really good. They never went anywhere. It was a very hard lifestyle. It costs a lot of money, and then you find out you failed. You know?
No, but I think it really is true that, like, the more we do, or the more I do, the more we play, like, the more there is to learn. You know, you're never done. You're always going to keep growing and learning.
All right. Yeah, this is a question. I have a question for each man here.